Good evening, viewers. Welcome once again to another edition of the Business Forum. This is a special edition called the GCCI at 50 Business Forum. We want to thank those that attended the forum, but for those of you that were not there, this is your opportunity to get a glimpse of what transpired. And it was attended by the Chief Executive Officer, GCCI, Mr. Ali Useka, GCCI past President, Mr. Abdoulaye Touré, and the Honorable Minister of Trade. We want to take this opportunity again to thank everybody that participated.
As the Minister previously said, urging some of us to return back home. So some of us have started coming back and more are coming. So that's to reassure you, we are coming back home to be with you in the new Gambia, to build together the new Gambia. I have maybe 2 points of intervention. The first, I couldn't speak up during the first session because of, there was too many interesting questions and comments being put forward. But my one input will be that there's a need to look into the economy or policies, whatever policies we put together, in a holistic manner, because everything fit into each other. And we as private sector, I say we as private sector because I was responsible for promoting private sectors, of course, in other countries. So now it's the turn for the Gambia. I've worked a long time in Rwanda, and we all know where Rwanda is today. And I proudly say that I contributed on that. I started working in Rwanda immediately after the genocide. And today, Rwanda is where they are, and they have recognized my contribution to the country. So I think it's worth coming back to the Gambia, and I believe the Gambia can do better even than Rwanda, because they have even cultural issues, some other issues which the Gambia doesn't have. When we talk about industrialization, especially in the agro industry, we should not forget that the economy is interlocked. You cannot just talk about the agro industry. You have to look into other issues. So there are several constraints. One is skills. Now, when you talk about skills, it's not just education, but also tertiary education, where you actually build the skills, which would then be implemented or required by the production sector, like the manufacturers and the industrial sector. So skills are very important. So we have to be very careful and targeted in providing skills for whatever sector that we want to promote. The other one is raw material, supply of raw material, consistency, quality, volume, timely. That is also an issue. So if you want to go into industrialization, supply is very important of raw material. Infrastructure facilities is another one. Horticulture, or it's ready produce, you need maybe also cold storage facilities like that, or facilities of airlifting fresh goods from one point to another point. Of course, finance comes into place, and that's where we are now. I will put in my comments that in a bit, and then also attitude. I think it's been mentioned in the morning session and in this session. Attitude towards homegrown goods. Attitude towards homegrown goods. I think it's very, very important. We go to a supermarket, you look at the goods. Most of them are imported, even from Canada. I bought honey from Canada, and I was like, where's Gambian honey? There is none in the shelves. I was very disappointed, but it was the one available. You just take what is there. So I think homegrown goods, and it's good to have them in the shelves, but the attitude, do we really patronize our own made in Gambia products? So we can go and manufacture, industrialize, but do we really consume our own produce? I think that's another thing to think of. And obviously market. For investors to come to the Gambia, they will say, where's the market? It's only 1.8 million people in the Gambia, and apparently our per capita income is very low, about $500. So obviously the investors will say, where's the purchasing power? We don't have purchasing power. But then we'll say Gambia is just the hub, and then whatever we produce here, we have markets in Mali. We have, because those are landlocked countries. So we say Mali. We have which other countries? Guinea-Bissau. Some other countries which are not as privileged as the Gambia, and are really not on the map as the Gambia. So I think as far as we talk about industrialization, we have to have a holistic approach. And my take in practical terms, I think we need to link it to a sector that is growing very well, and that is the tourism sector. Yeah. So let's link the agro industry into the tourism sector, because Gambia is known for tourism. And I was trying to figure out why. We worked and we have done a lot of research in the bank to actually find out why. And most of it is the hospitality. It's not like the Gambia has the best beach, the best hotels, the best services. It's the hospitality. I mean, the culture and the ambience over the years. We were talking about investment. We need long-term investment in the country, especially when we talk about industrialization. So you need long-term investment. To get long-term investment, you need long-term financing. And that is what we've been discussing, which is not really available. I think KO has talked about creating new instruments. This is something we've been talking for many years, and I was just looking forward to get an example. What type of instruments are we talking about? There are many instruments floating around, including warehouse receipts, especially for the agriculture sector. It's a system whereby the produce stored, and the agriculture sector borrow against the warehouse goods stored. I don't know whether banks here will be willing to adopt something like that, but it's worth looking into things like that. Thank you very much for the floor. It almost feels like a bankers forum with just the bankers at the panel. But until Lucy reminded us of the importance of the macro, and all the credit we talked about with central bank is because we've been able to stabilize the macros, the macro balance at the Ministry of Finance. How did we do that? First of all, let me say, to link it to the first conversation on transformation, what are we talking about? What is transformation? What does it mean? I believe we're talking about three things. Growth, employment, and equity. And if you take the growth aspect of it, that's where the macro stabilization issues has came. We inherited a broken down economy, a bankrupt economy, with this new administration. So, Omar, you're right. What did we do to to stabilize the macros? Basically, we work with whoever was available to support us, and we were able to bring in the 7 months of the new administration $85 million. And this is what stabilized the exchange rate in Dalasi, and this is why also like KO mentioned, this is the ceiling of the bottom that he mentioned. The pressure on government coming back to central bank to get the money, and that with the effects that it has on the interest rates. Now, talking of financing, yes, the takeoff point, like Auntie Lucy said, is the macro stabilization which we're working hard on. And second one is to have an integrated solution. There is a national development plan that we're working on, will be finalized soon. And third, in my mind, is we need to look at the issue of flow of funds, especially the flow of funds out of the country. The numbers we're hearing, for example, in the commission,
If all those money stayed in the economy and it went around to areas where it is needed most, imagine the triple effects that will have in the system, right? And there are many more. What do we need to do? Basically, we must optimally utilize domestic and external savings. How do we do this? The issues of infrastructure we have to work on, right? KO mentioned new instruments. One of the things that we're also working on, and Lucy has said this, is the fact of the matter is in our market, there's no funds for long-term or development financing. The commercial banks, of all their loans they give is 80 to 90%, as you know, is overdraft. You don't develop based on overdraft financing. It's like consumption. You borrow to chop. It doesn't work. We need development financing. Now, one of the things, Auntie Lucy, you may be pleased to know this, is we're working with Ministry of Finance, is working with the Task Force of Capital Market Investment and the Central Bank, and the likes of KO are also helping us, the Standard Bank Group, to sort of achieve just this, to move the market to the long term, to better connect savers with the people with the ideas, because that is what is missing in our system. You know, people have the ideas, they don't have the capital. How do we connect them? We have to adjust our legislation. The Central Bank Act, Amaru highlighted this, only allows for commercial banking license. So we are tying our own hands and legs as a country. How do we move? These things have to adjust, but we're aware of them, and we're taking steps as a government, Ministry of Finance, and working with the partners to address these bottlenecks so that the economy can take off. The issue is this: we also need to diversify the nature of enterprise we're talking about. Okay. Right? I mean, in Gambia, man, how many PLCs do you know? Everything is closed. Right? Cooperatives was mentioned, right? But we need to go beyond the normal, and so on and so on. But I'll stop there for now, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, here's a question for the floor. Mr. Keo, I'm sure you're going to help me answer this one. I've not even read it yet, but you're going to help me. What possibilities are there for the Gambian banks to bring in Islamic financing to attract the many Muslims avoiding interest for religious reasons? I'll start my bit and Keo will end it. I think the Financial Institution Act 2003, correct me if I am wrong, was amended purposely to introduce Islamic finance. We have FIA 74, FIA 92, just to cut it short. And FIA 2003 was actually just to bring that window of Islamic banking. And I'm sure there is now Islamic insurance called Takaful, there is Arab Gambian Islamic Bank, and so on and so forth. So really, at least from that range, on the spectrum, there is Islamic financing. But let me hand over to Keo to add to it.
Well, thank you very much. Of course, the first thing is framework. The framework which already exists. Yeah. You know, with the Banking Act or the Financial Act that was amended. The next thing is, you see, everything comes and starts from policy and from government. I'll give you an example. Auntie Lucy talked about long-term funds. Right. One of the first things that this government has done, at the risk of sounding like a spokesperson of government, but one of the first few things they have done, apart from stabilizing the money market, is also introducing long-term bonds. So the government has introduced 3-year bonds. Once they introduce 3-year bonds, you start finding out that also lending will be going to that level. Because if a 3-year bond is priced, say, at 12%, the lender will say there's a base, 12% plus. If there's a 5-year bond, the lender will say, okay, 5-year bonds at 13%, I will take a cue from that and benchmark my rate 13 plus. So it all comes back from, it comes from the top. The same thing, Islamic financing. The act is there. There are Islamic players in both insurance and in banking. We have huge portfolio of funds already in Islamic banking, in Malaysia, in Saudi, in the United Arab Emirates. The next thing is if government can issue a sukuk, and you see everybody else will follow. So the Nigerian government introduced a $300 million sukuk just about three weeks ago, fully oversubscribed, you know, and the lenders will also now follow. That's the way it goes. If Gambia issues, maybe your next bond is now a sukuk, you find out that the investors or the depositors will put their funds in the sukuk. Lenders also will have Islamic products. They will always take a cue from government as well as from the central bank. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could you put another round of applause for the panelists? And one special one for myself. And one for yourself. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This forum today, I must commend it. I must commend GCCI for bringing it here, because these are issues that affects all businesses. We talked about economics, we talked about the financial sector, we talked about youth, women. They're things that everybody should take on board and govern. I like to quote Mr. Abdullah Toure where he says the 3 A's and the 3 E's. He raised affordability, he raised accessibility, he raised availability, which would also lead to the 3 E's. What are we talking about? Employment, we're talking about export and entrepreneurs, which is why we're here today. And I believe, like we say, the proof of the eating is in the pudding. Or rather, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So we're very, very happy to be here today. Unique Solutions has a vision. We all know about the Acorn Lighting coming to Gambia, which we are partners to, and it was actually installed by our own people and other youths in the country, which is also an element towards job creation. So we're very, very honored to be here and pleased about the, various distinguished people and the presence of the minister herself. It definitely shows the new Gambia is here to stay.
Last word you want to send out to young entrepreneurs out there, to businessmen out there, to people at the grassroots that are willing to help but don't know the steps?
Like we always say, in this place, we have the mentors, we have the people growing, and most of the time, any doors you knock, they will be there to answer. We all know Mr. Papa Yusuf Njai. He's always here to help, interested in youth. He's been here for decades, and he knows what he's doing. Same as Mr. Abdullah Toure and others not mentioned. So definitely, if you're willing to help and the right measures are in place, gladly knock on certain doors and they'll be there to answer and guide you through.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That was the marketing manager of Unique Solutions Gambia.
My name is Bankin Jai. I'm the business development officer for the NEMA project, which is the National Agricultural Land and Water Management Development Project. And what we do as a project is an agricultural project, and what we do is we're trying to see how we can work with the young and the women, particularly, to develop their entrepreneurial skills so that they can work with the private sector in terms of able to start their own business, to be able to encourage them to see opportunities that will actually make them grow as young people and develop this nation. We need young people to develop this nation, and obviously we need to build the competencies or to harness the competencies of young people from an entrepreneurial perspective. And I see this forum as very, very useful. GCCI obviously is the partner to the private sector, and they've managed to bring the private sector and the public sector together to see how we can forge linkages in order to help each other out for the betterment of this country.
So, any last words you want to send out to the young entrepreneurs out there?
Yes, I want to just say we're open for business. NEMA is here to support young people and women. That's our target area. Obviously, we're not discriminating against men, of course. But the young people are the leaders of tomorrow. We know the young people are eager, they're hungry, to make something out of their lives. So we're creating the enabling environment for them to come on board, to actually take advantage of the situation. We know obviously sometimes it's challenging, it's hard, because it doesn't mean that because we have it so it's easy to get. There are processes that you have to go through, but we're there to help through those processes. We provide the training that is necessary. We don't just give you the opportunity to start your own business by giving you a huge tractor or an irrigation system, but we handhold you, we coach you, we mentor you, we train you on how to use those skills, the entrepreneurial skills, to actually grow your business. I mean, even from a technical point of view as well, we have people within the agricultural sector that will actually be able to train you in terms of on-the-ground work, hands-on work, from the technical perspective, how to grow rice, what type to grow, when to grow, and things like that. So apart from the business skills, we teach you the hands-on work. So together, I think it brings everything, into a nutshell, and where people will be able to have the opportunity to grow and make something for themselves. We know young people need support, and we're there to provide that support for them. We have challenges, of course, in terms of preparing their business plans. So what we do as well, we coach them, and those even who prepare business plans, we bring them together in forums. We train them, and we work together in workshops how they can actually go out and provide that service. So we can provide valuable business plans that are viable, that are bankable, that bankers and all investors will look at and be able to support.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njai.
You're welcome.
Agriculture is basically the main topic that we're talking about in this forum, and which I'm very much interested in because I'm an active player in agriculture. And I think the forum is very important in outlining the actual problems we are facing in actually developing our agricultural ventures, and access to finance and markets and value chains and all those very critical issues that are very important in our industry. So I think the forum is it's a phenomenal initiative by the chamber, and we are really appreciative of it, and I think that we will have a way forward after this forum.
Being here since morning is like a long day forum. As a businessman, based on your own view, how helpful will this forum be to you?
The time issue is not really an element, looking at the benefits that this forum is actually giving us. And so I think as a businessman, the forum is really going to help us improve as our relationships with the different sectors of the economy, also mainly financing and also value chain. Yeah.
That's great. Any last words you want to send out to your fellow young entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah, well, always, as the current topic right now going on, as in encouraging entrepreneurship, I think everybody should really look into venturing into entrepreneurship, and it's not going to be easy at all, but you just have to be persistent and persevere, and eventually it will pay off. So yeah, entrepreneurship is the way forward.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joe.
You're welcome.
Today, and all of them are doing different things, and it's also a networking, because I am able to introduce my come dine with either. People didn't know, but I'm telling them as well. So very important.
Any last words you want to send out to your fellow entrepreneurs out there?
We are encouraging people to start up their own business, because as I said, without the private sector, a country cannot move. And what I do as well, I partner with the hotel school. They can bring graduates to my house. I teach them, and the idea is to make them business people as well. Yeah.
You heard that he's also grooming young entrepreneurs out there. Auntie Aida, that is very amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Again, I am Director for Business Development. As you know, in simple terms, that is to support businesses, particularly small and medium enterprises. Of course, we know we also support corporate businesses, but it's to facilitate all forms and facets of business. We, as a chamber, represent all sectors: manufacturing, trading, agriculture, financial, you name it. So in a sense, that's what we do. And that is also my role at the GCCI.
Would you like to share with us the importance of this forum today?
Binta, this forum for us signifies a very, very huge milestone. 50 years, if you hear about it in any corner or in any celebration, it means you have come a long way. It is not 25, it is not 10, it means you have come indeed a long way. And that long way also signifies different approaches and different journeys that you have gone through to get to where you are today. And this journey, be it successful, be it challenging, be it dynamic, it was not static in any way, has had the involvement of a lot of partners along the way. We could not have gotten to this 50 years and this milestone on our own. We had always continuously relied on the support of the government. We had relied on the support of our partners, which is why I'm standing today here with my colleague from the GAIPA. Before GAIPA, it was GIPSA. We have had the support of 2 ex-officio members of the Chamber of Commerce for more than 6 years now, which is the Gambia Ports Authority and the Gambia Investment and Export Promotion Agency, which is why I call. So a lot of partners have supported GCCI, have gone with GCCI, have advocated with GCCI, have worked with GCCI to organize so many important events and have coordinated so many structures that have really now made the private sector what it is today. Sure. So for that, we indeed are in great celebration of that key milestone. And we are happy that today also, again, we can share that celebration with our partners.
Yep, it's a house in GAIPA. And not only that, yep, we have the Empatech training component, where you have the youths being trained, not only youths, but the SMEs in general. Anybody in business, you can go, you can be part of the the Empatech training program, where you will be trained to become business-minded and structure your business properly, how to, gain more outcome from your business.
Sure.
Yeah, and in terms of women, we're very much proud of what GCCI is doing, because as you can see in the forum, you have a lot of women here who have been members with the GCCI and have achieved a lot from GCCI.
The Minister of Trade is here since morning to witness this great forum. How far is the Chamber working with the new regime?
Very closely, I must say, and this has been from the very beginning, from the very inception, since the new government started. Prior to that, also we had enjoyed quite a good relationship with the previous government. Certain permanent structures, such as quarterly meetings with both the Ministers of Trade and the Ministers of Finance, has been with the GCCI for a long time, and that still continues today. So it's opportunities such as those and dialogue structures and processes such as those that we continue to advocate for and build upon. Even outcomes of forums such as this today, we use proposals and suggestions and recommendations that we take from forums to continue to engage with the ministers further in these quarterly meetings. So I would say we continue to enjoy a very good relationship, and this has stemmed from the very beginning of this coalition government. Well, there's a lot more. I am surprised that you've only just mentioned the trade fair. Trade fair is just, in fact, trade fair is the final end of promotion. You would have been supported to first develop a product or a service. You supported to strengthen that product and service. You supported to enhance and continue to reiterate and improve on that product and service. You are supported to network. For people to know you and for people to give you feedback and suggestions. So, I mean, trade fairs are, in my opinion, the very end, which then gives your product or service to the market.
Sure.
which you can do, of course, continually. But what is essential is the technical support that starts with you as a business. Even the idea of, the notion of nurturing your idea and giving you that courage to transform it into a business and a startup is something that you can mention. So, in my opinion, trade fairs are at the very final. Wow. Very final stage. Regarding the forum, I want to again re-echo what my colleague Mariam has said. Today's discussions, today's sharing of experiences have really been insightful. Yeah. They've been informative. And with that, what you can only do with that is ensure that you take it to the next step. We were informed of how these proposals can transcend and transform and change policies that we currently have, which will be geared towards stronger private sector development. So it's encouraging to note that we will continue this and take it to the very next step where it should be, which is implementation and policy policy redirection.
So I'm under the Business and Export Development Department. Yeah. We work to promote and facilitate and develop businesses to be export ready, and those who have export potentials, we do find the market linkages and promote their businesses outside the Gambia so that they can sell their products. So we are just trying to say this to the general public. If you have a product and you know it has a potential to export and you want to export it, you can come to GAIPA and we can help you facilitate and find markets for you. And there is a training, the MProject training that I just mentioned. We do have that in-house. So if you need entrepreneurship training, you can come to GAIPA too. And also investment facilitation too. That's our mandate. So you're all welcome to GAIPA. And once again, thank you to GCCI for having this forum. Really successful. Thank you.
Today is a great day for me for the fact that this is what the Gambia needs, and championing this under the GCCI, I think, is towards the right direction. We're talking about private sector development, entrepreneurship development, and talking about sustainability. So engaging into the thematic of economic transformation for Gambian business empowerment, I think this training and these reflections that had happened throughout the day, I think is the direction that Gambia needs, because there are different thematics that came and reflections coming from different experts talking about the business environment, talking about value addition, talking about women's involvement, the gender, and all the other aspects of empowerment. I think is towards the right direction, and I believe we are moving towards sustainability in the sense that the new Gambia, this is what we have been envisioning, looking at all aspects and try to give the opportunity and unleash the potential of the private sector in moving forward. I think it was an excellent deliberation, and I had to stay throughout the day because I felt as a minister I'm not supposed to be divorced from the public, especially in areas which falls under my portfolio.
Okay, my name is Abdoulaye Touré. I'm the founder and CEO of Sahel Invest Management Company, management consultancy, project financing, executive development training institution. But on this particular occasion, I'm here as a former president of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I had the good fortune of serving 2 full terms with GCCI during its formative stages some 10-15 years ago, and I'm very pleased that it has evolved to what it is now, being very proactive, being very active, importantly being in a very strong partnership with the Minister of Trade, which is in effect the line ministry, and also to have a very dynamic, action-oriented Honorable Minister, Dr. Aissatou Touré, at its helm. And really I was elated for the fact that as far as I can recall, this is the first time that the GCCI has had its line minister stay throughout the deliberations. That shows commitment, that shows passion, and that shows a sense of belonging to GCCI. Of course, we have done quite a bit with the ministry under different regimes. So all said and done, I think we are now poised for takeoff. And I'm sure that with the continued support and collaboration between a dynamic GCCI team and a formidable minister and her passionate team at the ministry, the sky certainly, the future looks very, very bright, and I'm very, very optimistic. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching the Business Forum. We'll come again next week for another edition. I'm your host, Beatrice Mboj, saying good night.